The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Am I? Good afternoon, we're on Mannin Line. Open line today through till 1. So the floor is yours. Text 166 177, WhatsApp 166 177, email studio at maxradio.com. Call 66 13 68. Well, the redevelopment of Douglas Prom didn't go over its final budget, apparently, according to the Treasury Minister. Dr. Allison confirmed the final cost for the prom, £27,730,000. Confirmed that in Keys today. The project took several years to complete and saw a number of complications, including being late, over its original budget, and of course everything was hampered by the COVID pandemic. £27.73 million for the promenade. Got any thoughts on that? And what do you think about this situation where they did a survey as to whether you could have a drink or take your drink to seats in the Gaiety Theatre? The survey said no, but they said yes anyway. Now, how do you feel about that? I mean, obviously there is a licensed bar at the Gaiety Theatre, and normally you have to, get to the bar and drink your drink during the interval. How do you feel about taking it back? Or more to the point, how do you feel about the person behind you swilling their drink? Alcoholic drink, probably. Text, email, call, WhatsApp, any thoughts? By all means, do get in touch. Will the government not tell us how much we're spending on agency staff for DHSC learning disabilities? Apparently, there are 20 staff who got a 3-month contract. Agency staff, 3-month contract. DHSC staff never got a look in, says the WhatsApper. We've not heard about that, but if it's something you know about, then by all means do get in touch. 20 agency staff got 3-month contracts for DHSC learning disabilities. The people already there on the DHSC staff never got a look in. And Charlie's with us, first of all. Hi, Charlie.
Hi, Brian. The sticks in the craw. The government have done something right in the last 5 years. Under budget for the promenade?
Well, yeah. Is it under budget? I mean, we don't know, do we?
Well, it stayed on the news. It was under budget. So they had money left. Why didn't they finish the tram lines?
Well, I think at the time they said they'd moved the tram budget to something else, but we don't quite know what it was.
Yeah, well, if you got money from a loan from the government or a bank to do a certain project and use for something else, you'd be prosecuted. But as there's money left in, let's finish the tram lines and get the MHKs off their dimples and move it.
Are you happy with the state of the prom, Charlie?
No, I'm not. It's a disgrace. And the walkways and the ramps at the billiards are starting to collapse into the road.
And that's what less than 3 years after they were put in.
Well, I told Cannon how I discussed it, the fact they had no warranty on the promenade. So we paid for it. Now we're going to have to pay for maintenance on it. It's coming out of our pockets. It's not out of the MHK's pockets.
Yeah.
But when you come over that ramp at the end of Victoria Street there onto the promenade, it's heading north, the forward ramp is starting to collapse. And most of the checkered walkways are all getting uneven because the blocks are moving. As I said to the Chief Minister, they could have broken planning by taking the blocks out by the Steph and by the Rundle, not put them back, and put the cheapest form possible, then put tarmac cadden back in. I told them that could be, as planning was for checkered walkways, but we've heard nothing back from him, have we?
Well, Well, we'll see. I mean, the thing is, the proof of the pudding is going to be in the eating. We'll just see how it lasts. Because, I mean, part of it was, Charlie, the fact that they didn't quite know what was under the prom. There were pipes that came from nowhere, led to nowhere. So all the three utilities now know where everything is under the prom.
Well,
so that's one thing.
On the key, and I said to one of the surveyors there, big wide footpath all the way down the promenade on the hotel side. Why not put a 2 metre by 2 metre concrete culvert the length of the promenade for all services into it? Then if anything happens, they don't have to take the road up. They go down through hatches and the pavements, repair gas, repair water, repair electricity. Fair enough, you've got the Irish system on the far side of the promenade. But the state of the road services is breaking up quite a few places on the thing. In fact, it was stated on the news, your news, there were 90 faults on the promenade.
Well, there's a big snagging list, certainly.
Yeah, so the Manx public are going to have to pay for that now, aren't we?
Well, no.
I don't think the firm who done it exist anymore, do they?
Who knows? I mean, the fact is, we pay for everything in the end, Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
All
Anyways,
right. Good to hear from you.
Great.
Thanks for that. Good to hear from you. Thank you, Charlie. Howard's with us now. Hi, Howard.
Hello, Andy. Just talking to Chris there with reports on the radio, and obviously it's going to be in the local papers. But the Licensing Act being extended in the Gaiety Theatre, what a farcical enterprise that was, and a complete waste of money, because there must have been quite a few people within the education section controlling this consultation, and the number of people that put their ideas and votes in. You're talking 1,100 people in total, 1,200 people. But at the end of the day, well, you could now say a dictatorship of a government have decided to override the public's opinion.
Why, though, Howard? Why would you think they would?
The reason given, and in a sense it was farcical, that it's going to bring extra monies in. But at the end of the day, and anybody of my age, maybe even younger, because I haven't been in a pub for ages, but you go into a pub anywhere and there's drinks spilt, and I just said to Chris, the old Edo, as it was, used to go to the bar, and if you stood there for a couple of minutes at the bar, you quite literally stuck to the floor because of the ale, the beer that was on the carpets.
Yeah.
And those carpets in the Gaiety Theatre and the seating and the various facilities around the theatre, and I emphasise that theatre, it's not a bar, it's not a pub, and it should be respected because it's one of the best theatres in the UK, Frank Matcham. And Mervyn Stokes must be raging because that was his pet, and he was in there for many, many years, and the seating, the carpeting, even the wallpaper. And I said to Chris, they discovered the original wallpaper on the walls when they were stripping.
Yeah.
And they had wallpaper made up to match the original. So that is a unique theatre, and there they are. If you can't do without a drink for a couple of hours, and you can bet your bottom dollar they're not just going to go up and buy one at the bar, they're going to come back with 2 and 3 pints or drinks.
And interesting, Howard, what happens when the people who have bought drinks and take them back to their seat, what happens when they finish that drink?
The glass is kicked over, even with the residue, all bottles, whatever they are, with the residue coming out and draining onto the carpet.
And you possibly then get broken glass. If somebody knocks a glass over, maybe a pint glass, treads on it in the dark, unknowingly, then suddenly there's a big problem. So does this mean that they probably may have thought about this, the fact that to mitigate broken glasses, they maybe will start serving drinks in plastic glasses.
But I think that's what it will be.
Well, that's not very green, is it?
No, it's not.
Because that's single-use plastic.
Yeah, they have paper ones with, I think it's like a plastic lining in them, but there are reusable plastic glasses, and they're used in some pubs. But that's beside the point. You're going to have extra staff to clean up, and every now and again, probably on a more regular basis, you're going to have to bring people in to clean the carpets, clean the seats possibly. But the other point is, if you've had 2 or 3, and people, if they want a drink, they're not, as I say, they're not going to just go up to the bar, grab one. They're going to grab 2 or 3 and come back with them. And then they're going to be walking past the people that's sitting in the seats that haven't been up.
Yeah.
And then once they've consumed those couple of 3 drinks, partway through the show, they want to go to the toilet.
Well, nature will take its course, obviously.
They will. So they're going to say, excuse me, and your show that you went there and paid good money to watch is going to be disturbed by these people who only went there probably under force, not force as such, but under duress, and because the family wanted to go, dad or even mum or anybody, they're going to get the drinks, but they're not going to be particularly worried about the show or the people that's around them.
But how much extra are they going to take? I mean, how many extra drinks are they going to sell? And, surely somebody has worked this out. There may be a, kind of spend per head. How many extra drinks? This can't be that much. And as you say, whether or not they've spoken to the cleaners or the volunteers, the friends of the Gaiety who pick a lot of the litter up, these people could be picking up broken glass in the future.
Exactly, yeah. And they're supposed to be only going to serve in the interval. So you're going to have a mad rush to get up there. And if people rush up to the bar, they're going to rush back with their drinks. So why, and the question should be asked, why did the government and the education, I say that loosely, education, decide to extend the drinks license in a place where it's never been needed? It's farcical. And this just shows the attitude of our present government, that we know best, you know nothing. And it's going to destroy the whole atmosphere. You're going to get, eventually, if there's spilt drinks, they're going to go into the carpets, etc. The place is going to smell like an old brewery. I
just wonder where this has come from, whether I know this certainly happens in the UK, so I don't know whether somebody's been to a theatre in the UK and has seen this in action and thought, that will be a good idea, we'll bring it to the Gaiety. But I mean, the Gaiety, remember, when you the stalls is okay, but there's a very steep rake in the Gaiety. When you go up, past the circle, certainly to the gods, there's a very steep rake. So anything could happen there. Exactly.
And what you said there, somebody from the UK has probably brought this idea over. But what they got to remember, and we keep saying it, we are not part of the UK. And if they want to go to a theatre that serves drinks, go to the UK. But the Frank Matcham Theatre, the Gaiety Theatre, is unique, and anybody that comes here to actually work on the stage, to go and act on the stage, sing praises about the theatre. And for the sake of a couple of points, rushed points, if they want, why don't they just let the family go in and watch the show, and they can nip into the Sefton next door? There's a damn big bar in there. Yeah. They can stay there until they're bladdered in. And why on earth do they ever let this go ahead?
Well, this will be somewhere it'll be in a project under revenue enhancement. That's what it'll be under.
Oh, revenue enhancement. Well, no way. It's a revenue depletion, because it's going to cost more to clean up afterwards. And that theatre is, I keep saying it, unique. And they have the trapdoor underneath. They do tours of the theatre on the Saturdays, and they're 2.5 hours long. Now, are you going to do those tours, etc., when they've got people in doing deep cleaning and whatnot? Yeah. So it's a farcical thing and a complete waste of money on behalf of the education people and the licensing authorities. And how much pressure has the brewery put on?
Well, we'll find out, and certainly it would be nice to know where the idea came from and why, when the survey said no, they said yes.
Yep, but the pressure was put onto the government to reduce the optic sizes, which we're now all getting English-size optic drinks, not Manx ones.
Okay, all right. Appreciate that, Howard. Thanks for calling today.
Bye now.
Cheers now, 21 minutes past 12. Here's Graham now. Hi, Graham.
Hi. I just want to talk about the zebra crossings all the way along the promenade.
Okay, which ones? The ones that think they're zebra crossings or the real ones?
The ones that think they are.
Oh, right.
So, in law, you have to have a certain amount of meterage of zigzag lines either side of a zebra crossing.
Right.
Now, the pelican crossings have got the zigzag lines, but all of the zebra crossings don't. So they are basically illegal.
Okay.
If you want to put it in that way.
Are there any on the prom with Belisha beacons? Any with those flashing orange lights?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So they're the pelican crossings.
Right.
And they have got the zigzag lines.
Right.
All the way across the island, all the way across UK, every zebra crossing has to have zigzag lines, and that's to stop people parking there, right up to the edge of the zebra crossing.
Right.
And it's a safety thing. Now, anybody can look that up. It's on Google. You can search that up, and that is the legal requirement. And none of them have the zigzag crossing, zigzag lines. So, what I would say is, if there was an accident, if somebody got knocked over,
yeah,
and there was a vehicle parked like the taxis actually do, right up to the zebra crossing, causing an obstruction right into the crossing, then nobody would have a leg to stand on.
Interesting. That's interesting. And but I mean, what's the law at the moment with those, those raised, I can't believe it's not a zebra crossing things. I mean, the law of a zebra crossing is that it's your crossing when you put your foot on the crossing. So exactly, I wonder, if they're not zebra crossings, where does the law stand? That's
what I'm trying to say. The zigzag lines are part of the law. I put it onto Facebook. I put it on and put it out there. I tagged MHKs in on it. Your own Tim Glover tagged them all on it, and nobody commented on it. None of them. And it's fact. The 7 crossings that are along the promenade, none of them have got that zigzag lines. Okay. All right, Graham. Well, of course, nothing will happen until something goes wrong, and then it'll be too late. Absolutely. Yeah, and it could be an elderly person or a child that's dead at the side of the road, and then they'll go, oh, we should have had it. All right. Good to hear from you. Thanks, Graham. Okay, thank you. Cheers now. Howard's right, says Nick. It's a lovely theatre, but the seating is incredibly tight and not very comfortable. You'll have people with beers on their knees, then you have people getting up to the loo. It's not that the seating's tight, it's just that, and anybody who knows about buses will tell you, that people have got bigger, a lot bigger since the Second World War. Because of the diet and the lack of physical work. It's just a thing, but it appears tight. It's just didn't used to be. Anyway, we appreciate that. Drinks on seats, not bums on seats, will put me off going to the theatre. And that says John. And Sue said, so along with the loud crackling of sweet papers from those who can't get through a show without scoffing something, there'll be slurping and drinks thrown over people trying to get open drinks back to their seats, and then there's the clearing of the rubbish. Well, I thought it was the friends of the Gaiety who cleaned and cleared up, pick all the litter up. Now, I stand corrected on this, if you can tell me. So I just wonder whether anybody's had a word with the cleaning people to say, is this okay with you?
Why have a survey asking people what are their thoughts about drinking in the theatre, getting the result, and then going against the results? A lack of respect. 650 people said they wouldn't welcome the opportunity to have an alcoholic drink at their seat. 526 said they would. 650 no, 526 yes, and the Department of Education, Sport and Culture says it's an opportune year to make the change. So the story on the prom is it didn't go over budget, 27.730 million. Dr. Allinson's been explaining in Keys.
The total expenditure incurred against the Douglas Promenade scheme was £25,730,000, as can be seen in the 2023-24 Pink Book. The final Tynwald approved budget was also £25,730,000. The final costs allocated against this scheme exclude those relating to capital inflationary pressures. Additional costs amounting to £2.2 million were met by the capital inflation scheme that sits within Treasury. This gives a total cost of the completed scheme as £27,730,000. This was a complicated project. I think everyone expected it to be a complicated project when it started out, but there were some significant delays in it. The work on what was at the time meant to be a 2-year project began in 2018. It was originally scheduled to finish in October 2020. That was then pushed back to August 21, caused by multiple delays, including a global pandemic, and also rescheduling of the scheme to account for the significant impact it had on some of the businesses on the prom, which was subject to significant debate in this Honourable House. In terms of the value for money, when you look at the amount of work that was done both below the surface and on the surface itself, I think this is a significant investment into the capital city of the Isle of Man, and it had to be done. What we also don't see is the significant improvement to utilities under the surface, particularly the work done by Manx Utilities to improve the critical infrastructure, particularly sewage, but also in terms of electricity supply and also gas supply from Isle of Man Energy. So I think this had to be done. Although the costs did increase due to the overruns, it does actually, in the grand scheme of things, make sense to spend this money. Whether it could have been done cheaper if a pandemic hadn't have happened, or if different restructuring had been done to the overall process, is up for debate. But I note that this has actually been subject to 3 different reports from the Environment and Infrastructure Review Committee. I suggest the Honourable Member looks at some of their recommendations and some of their findings in terms of ways that, should we need to repeat such a large capital scheme in the future, it can be delivered in a better way.
That's Dr. Allinson, Treasury Minister, talking about how we spent £27.73 million on the prom. And you got any thoughts on it? Text, email, call, WhatsApp. Is it? Are you proud of it? I mean, the fact is, most of the good work has been done under the surface, because now everybody knows where everything is. I mean, at one time or another, we were judging things by the internment camp post, weren't we? So that's all been done. But Peter just said the only thing about the prom, it would look, this is PETA, Peter, lady, it would look a lot better if we had some decent lights on the promenade. Different budget, different people. That's Douglas City Council with those pointy coloured lights. The festoon, we don't want to get into the festoon lights again, do we?
Merry Christmas.
Text, email, call and WhatsApp on Mannin Line.
It's that time of year. Hospice Isle of Man are once again giving you the chance to win a car this Christmas. And tickets are just £25. Even I can't be that generous. With the Hospice Christmas car draw, you can win a Hyundai i10 Advance. But hurry, as the draw will take place on the 30th of December. Get your ticket now at hospice.org.im/car draw. All hospice shops, or call 672222. Car kindly donated by Kell Properties. Ho, ho, ho.
Conister Bank is celebrating a remarkable milestone in 2025. 90 years of proudly serving the Isle of Man, growing alongside our island's communities. To honour this journey, Conister are telling their unique story in a book, and they want you to be part of it. If you have a story, photo, or a piece of Conister's history to share, you can help Conister bring those memories to life. Get in touch. Email marketing@conisterbank.co.im. That's marketing@conisterbank.co.im. Conister Bank, celebrating 90 years of community, heritage and connection.
H&H Motorcycles, South Key Industrial Estate for all your Christmas biking needs. Helmets, road and off-road clothing, kids' bikes, Christmas vouchers and more at H&H Motorcycles, the island's Yamaha dealership, with additional Thursday late night opening till 8.
People of the Isle of Man, are you thinking of buying or selling a home? Well, wait! You need to talk to the conveyancing team at LVW Law. LVW Law! They've over 20 years of experience and know what they're talking about. They're friendly and efficient. Do not buy or sell a property without calling LVW Law on 836757. For a no-obligation quote, LVW Law.
The winning is now well underway on Manx Radio's 12 Days of Christmas.
And we still have lots of other goodies under the tree that could be yours between now and Christmas Eve, including £100 to spend at the Forge, an overnight stay at the Welbeck Hotel, and a Google Nest thermostat from KPMG.
All you need to do is listen for your cue to call and join us live on the air to answer a simple seasonal question.
Manx Radio's 12 Days of Christmas. Brought to you by SpectrumWindows.im.
Keep listening for your chance to win this festive season.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
I got a message in, this is from Jeff, who said, you were asking what happens to electric cars when they go a bit skew-whiff and how they get off. I bought a used Tesla a few years ago, and I paid for one of those pods on the drive, drove it was okay. However, there was a problem with the batteries, so it needed to be got off. Now the thing is, if you buy a Tesla, apparently, said Jeff, the batteries are guaranteed for 7 years. This was only, I think, a 4-year-old vehicle when Jeff bought it, so it was under guarantee. Now, the steam packet don't touch it. Apparently, they go off. The car had to go back, get this, to America. And it was taken off by Mezeron, and then the thing went to America. And Jeff got the vehicle back, sold it, and has now got an internal combustion engine vehicle. So, but that's a bit of a faff, isn't it? But so if you have a Tesla and there's a problem with the batteries, it goes back to America, and apparently they pay for it all to be shipped off. That's built into their cost. If you've got a similar experience, or you can enlighten us a bit more on that, then by all means do. Castletown commissioners are supporting a rate increase from the Southern Swimming Pool to enable the pool to carry on. The pool board's asking for the maximum amount that it can at 6.2p, a rise of a tenth of a penny to help cover deficit payments and the new schedule. In January this year, the pool was threatened with closure from DESC due to the financial situation. Here's the chair of Castletown Commissioners, Beth Cannon.
Pool asked for an increase in the rates because they are having to cover a deficit, but we're quite happy to pay that because we want people to use the pool. We want to keep the pool in the south, and we're quite happy to support them.
It's only been announced recently and all the local authorities have received a letter. Do you know how they will react and what they will do?
I don't know. I can only speak for us. I really don't know, but hopefully they will also say yes and keep the pool in the south.
And you mentioned in the meeting that there's a lot of positive changes to the pool that you've noticed from the meetings. Would you be able to explain about what they are?
Longer opening hours. They open at 6 o'clock on a Friday morning. They are open on a Sunday morning again now. The staff are happy to work on a rota system, and it's been really positive. The increase in lessons, it's been really positive what's been happening in the pool.
And how important is the pool to Castletown?
Personally, it's extremely important. I think we need a pool in the south. I think we need to encourage it to stay, and we need to do our best for a new pool in the future with the new school. Yeah, it's really important to me. All I can say is the staff there are absolutely brilliant. They're really encouraging, and it's a nice, friendly community pool.
Chair of Castletown Commissioners, Beth Cannon, talking about the increase in rates to pay for the southern pool. Julian's on now. Hi, Julian.
Hi, Andy. Just before the southern pool, 27 million for the promenade, right?
27.73 million.
Right, because I'm looking at the BBC, 19th July 2011. Plan to spend 10 million on Douglas Promenade.
Well, you know what inflation is.
Well, yeah. Imaginary stain. I mean, that's gone from, 23.5 to 40 million, and they haven't even put spade in the ground hardly yet. So you see where I'm coming from when I say it could be up at 100 million for that wind farm.
Crikey. Anyway, what you didn't call for that, you called for something else.
I did. Very pleased that they are keeping the Southern Swimming Pool on life support. Interestingly, in September, in the Express Online, there's an article about just England alone has shut 1,288 pools since 2009, but a vast majority of them since 2020. And that's resulted in a third of kids leaving primary school who can't even swim a length. Swim England warns that 75% of English councils face a swimming pool shortage by 2030. Ex-Olympic swimming Olympic swimmer Sharon Davis warns that if England is to nurture the next Tom Daley or Isabel Thorpe, there must be enough water space across the country. And they're saying last year, almost 2 public pools a month were shutting down. In Buntingford, Hertfordshire, council bosses, unable to maintain a local pool, closed it, forcing residents to drive a 20-mile round trip.
But you see, this comes under the heading of, do you remember last week it was announced that the NSC, this is our National Sports Centre, is cutting the gym sessions and the spa sessions at weekends as though they're a business. But the fact is that they rabbit on all the time about, exercise being good for mental health and blah, 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 blah. But if there's nowhere to exercise, then you can't do anything about it. And consequently, the Southern Pool, I mean, that campaign, when it was threatened with closure early on this year, was very, very powerful, Julian.
It was. And I think, didn't you say you had a mate across that had, was it arthritis or something? And you said every time he went in the pool and came out again, he was like rejuvenated.
Well, the thing is that not only, I mean, psychologically, the endorphins start going, but I mean, it helps. Exercise helps, particularly swimming, because you're not putting pressure on any part of the body because the water's supporting you. You've got exercise, but no bashing of joints or limbs or anything like that. So swimming is really beneficial, apart from learning, apart from teaching you how not to drown.
Well, that is the point, I mean, if you do get a nice summer, the sea or lakes or reservoirs, I mean, if you're not, let's suppose you're not a swimmer and one of your mates pushes you in or something, I mean, that's not going to be a good thing if you don't know how to do it. What was that? A third of primary school kids can't swim a length.
Well, let's hope. I mean, the fact is that the Castletown Commissioners are pitching for the rise to 6.2p, so hopefully that's going to cover the deficit payments and keep the Southern Pool going.
But the thing is, again, they've also mentioned here that 1,500 pools currently in the UK are over 40 years old and no obvious investment in new ones. So we can keep this one going because I think this one's over 40 years old.
Yeah, but of course there is a plan down the track that when Castle Rushen eventually is built, there will be a new pool incorporated in, or that's the plan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we can't just reverse the logic and put the pool in first and then build the school. If the pool has not been looked after, I mean, you remember the other 2 regional pools at Ramsey and Peel, they had $250,000 each over the 8 years of subvention payments, and the Southern Pool only had 18 grand for a pool cover.
And they lost their cafe as well.
They lost the cafe, and that I can't understand. Remember, we had that long chat about the report on the swimming pools and the cafe at Peel. I mean, that was the thing that pulled that thing up by its bootstraps, was the fact that it had a cafe that was making it is a profit, except the whole thing, with pools. I mean, they are a statutory body, like you said. It's like a bus service, it's not really there to make a profit. It's there for the people to, and there's all kinds of spin-offs.
But the fact is, if you can get a business in, a catering business in, to run a cafe alongside their existing business, and maybe they use the facilities, then it's a virtuous circle. You kill two birds with one stone, if you don't mind me mixing my metaphors. You get a catering facility in the swimming pool, and you help a local business.
Yeah, Swim England, I mean, talk about killing two birds with one stone. They say that each swimming pool within the area of a hospital saves that hospital £500,000 a year because the people are healthier and fitter.
And that's the whole thing, is that swimming and exercise in general affords us a non-tangible benefit. You can't count it, you can't measure it, you'll only know if it's working when it doesn't work. So you have to, with anything to do with exercise and mindfulness and stuff like that, it's how people feel. But over time, the effects become apparent. Now, whether or not people understand that, you make your own judgment. But the fact is, people like swimming, I think, and you've said in the past, when everybody comes out of the pool, they smile.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes when I get out, there'll be a class or something or a water aerobics thing. And they're absolutely, some of these people, they're not that young anymore, and they're dancing around like teenagers afterwards, and laughing. You can hear the laughing through the changing room, out into the reception area.
All right. So, Julian, are you happy then that obviously there should be more ratepayer funding for the Southern Pool to keep it open, and do you think the commissioners have made the right decision?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, an evening up. I mean, the fact that the NSC has direct funding only, and then is it Douglas, Onken and Braddon don't pay for pool at all in their rate?
No.
It kind of makes more sense for it all to... Because, didn't I remember that the NSC hasn't actually hardly done a solid year in years in terms of... because of either the flumes or you've got tiles down at the moment, which I don't even know if they've been repaired yet or not.
No, well, we'll see. Okay, all right. Good to hear from you, Julian. Thanks for calling.
Thanks, Andy. Cheers.
Cheers now. Take care. And Adam's on with us now. Am I right? Is this Festoon Light Adam?
It is Festoon Light Adam, yes. Hello, Andy.
Well, how are you? Where are you, Adam? Are you back in the UK or are you on the island?
I'm in the Isle of Man, Andy.
Okay. So anyway, let's talk about the promenade in Douglas.
Yeah, the promenade in Douglas, Andy. I really like what they've done, to be honest with you. But they've only done half a job, haven't they? They haven't done the walkway or the pieces adjacent to it. So they need another scheme, really, to do the walkway and also the horse trams, to take the horse trams all the way to the sea terminal. But why is it, Andy, that projects take so long over here? There seems to be all these brownfield sites and things along the promenade and in central Douglas, and nothing's done about them. And what is the when are they going to get down to grips with what's actually the issue with developing these sites?
Well, I'd love to know what the answer is, whether it's health and safety, whether it's planning, whether it's procurement, whether it's the fact that the contractors don't work very fast. Nobody knows. I mean, the Victorians would have had it finished in less than a year.
They would have done, Andy, but I mean, there needs to be an inquiry to find out what the problem is, because they've had various government organisations trying to sort it out. They've had the Douglas Development Partnership, and now they've got this development corporation, which is supposed to be developing the sites and things, and it doesn't really, and nothing seems to work. So what is the problem? Is it government and the government needs to get out of the way, or is it to do with the contractors not wanting to build flats and things because they want to keep the price of housing artificially high in the island in order to sell their units at a higher rate?
Well, we never know, do we? We never get the straight answer. And I mean, coming back, as you say, to the promenade, the fact is that aesthetics really matter. If you do something with imagination, a bit of flair, a bit of elan, and some artistry, then it looks absolutely fantastic. And the promenade should and could look fantastic. It used to look beautiful. But what's gone wrong?
I don't know, Andy. I think, there's a few issues with the promenade. For a start, all the Castle Mona and that's been derelict for a long time, hasn't it? And Tavia Group have got that, and they're supposed to be developing it at some point. The Sefton Group had it beforehand, and they were supposed to be developing it at some point, but there's not the money there, I don't think, and it seems to cost an awful lot of money. These things are always massively over budget, and it's about getting to grips with that again, isn't it, Andy? The promenade won't improve. Around the Isle of Man, there's various places like the waterfall at Glen May and the Glen Mona Hotel at the Dune, and Laxey Glen Gardens. I'm not sure if that's closed again, but the island can only support so many kind of places to visit. Glen Helen's another example, the Swiss chalet at Glen Helen. The island can only support, in its post-tourism days, a number of places to go and visit. There doesn't seem to be public demand for these facilities, so therefore there doesn't seem to be the money for investment in public facilities, which you would find on Douglas Promenade and in other places. But also, remember, there are certain things that we have to have, the civic architecture that we have to have. So if those are done in an aesthetically pleasing manner, that lifts the whole thing up. And it just seems that we get surrounded by kind of ugliness sometimes. And the fact that, fences that rust. We've got this big slab of grey concrete that's going to be the wall from the War Memorial to Castle Mona Avenue. No attempt at an aesthetic backdrop to it at all. So it just, as you say, who's to blame? Is it the architects that don't get the correct brief? Are the people who've got the money, don't they have a vision for what's going to happen in the future? Because at the moment, other places do, up their game when it comes to civic architecture. It seems that we don't. No, I don't think we do in the Isle of Man. But it's the thing is, Andy. The other thing is the contractors seem to drag things out with the developments. They don't. Are the contractors dragging things out in order to prolong the kind of contracts?
Well, that's easily remedied. You just put people on a deadline and a penalty clause. That's easy to do from the beginning. And when you agree the contract, you say, this is going to take 18 months, and if it's a day over, you're getting, £1,500 a day fine or more.
Yeah. Well, there needs to be an inquiry as to why it is. Because, apart from the aesthetics, Andy, actually getting things built seems to be a real issue. At the moment, we're waiting for them to build on the site on Loch Promenade where the Villiers Hotel used to be, or next to it. And they're supposed to be starting that in the new year. So we'll see how that goes. But, there seems to be, people need to get to the bottom of why development takes so long over here, and is it due to where there's been external investment into the island, such as with Tower House, there was a lady left some money for that to be built, and it was built, and it's there. It's a bit of a white elephant, but it was nice when it first opened, and it got built. So where there's money, is it the case that where there's money available, development will take place, but it's just nobody's got any money because the island doesn't have a big enough population to support all of the facilities, the public facilities and things that we want to have? Well,
it may be down to planning in the end. There are certain proposals, certain projects have been knocked back through planning.
Right. Yeah, well, is planning, is this where the government's getting in the way? It needs to be identified over here exactly what is holding development back, because it's obviously not working. The government having all these bodies which exist to invest in direct government intervention doesn't work. It doesn't appear to be delivering what it's designed to deliver.
Okay.
So therefore, there needs to be an inquiry or something to get down to grips with what the problem is.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks for calling, Adam. Good to hear from
Andy.
you. Cheers now. 10-1 on Manx Radio. I think it's a great move by the team at the Gaiety. As a regular performer, it hopefully means the audience members can return to their seats on time instead of having to rush to finish drinks, says Alex. And what a great move to expand the licensed area at the Gaiety Theatre as a performer. I hope this encourages the audience back. I hear you say that the prom, when finished, came under the final budget, but it's not finished. The horse trams need to be reinstated as was originally planned, especially as public money was set aside for this. The government should get it sorted.
I'm detecting a cyber attack on our client's systems.
OK, analyse the incident and ensure any malicious activity is blocked.
OK, our response tools have automatically blocked the attack.
Great. I'll put together an incident response plan. Notify the client, and can we confirm protection across all clients?
You don't always see how cybersecurity is working in the background to keep your business safe and running smoothly. But CND will identify, protect, detect and respond to any cyber attack, leaving you to focus on your business and customers.
Hi. How can I help you today?
Computer Network Defence, CND. Visit cndltd.com to see how we can protect your business today.
Balaka Resort. Have you visited any of the Isle of Man farmers markets recently? They're held year-round across the island, where you will find fresh, seasonal, local produce and handmade Manx crafts. Details of the markets can be found in the local press, on our Facebook page and website. We look forward to seeing you. Himshu Egaverga.
Greetings from Nicola and her team at Nicola Bowker & Co. 2024 has been a great year. Let's make 2025 even better. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Nicola Bowker & Co.
Settle in for a tale of passion, jealousy, corruption, and the lady killers who entranced 1920s Chicago. Grab your gun, your best fur coat, and liquor. The Douglas Choral Union presents Chicago at the Gaiety Theatre from the 7th to the 15th of February. Book your tickets via villagaiety.com or on 600-555. Sponsored by DQ Advocates and supported by the nation station Manx Radio.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
And John's with us. Hi, John.
Hi, Andy. Liverpool Seat Terminal.
Yep.
As far as I know, there's only one sailing there a week on a Sunday. Am I right?
I think it goes... yes, Sunday morning goes to Liverpool, yeah.
Yeah, once a week. And that depends on the wind being in the right direction and the tide being at the right height. Okay?
At the moment, yes.
Yeah. I mean, when the name Half-Tide Dock came up in the first place, that should have told them something, really, shouldn't it? But never mind. I always thought, we getting a new berth in Liverpool, that it would be a sheltered dock that the ship went into. In other words, could go in any time up the 724 kind of thing. But obviously it's limited. Now, the second question is, obviously, to run this sea terminal, there must be quite a large staff, such as vehicle check-in staff, catering staff, security staff. I mean, you don't run this sort of place on half a dozen people. Now, my question is, what do they do the rest of the week?
I'd be interested to know. I'd be interested to know, John. Who are they employed by? I don't think this. Exactly, are they steam packet employees, or are they employed because that's our piece of land, that's our building?
Yeah, exactly. But it's our building and it's our piece of land. It's in Liverpool, and the whole thing seems a mess. Who controls it or what? Now, the other thing. I can't remember the year now, but I think it was the Mona's Isle they bought, and it only lasted 6 months.
Oh, it didn't go well.
They couldn't control it. It had to have a tug stand by to help it in and out. And surely they learned something like that a ship designed like that with a high back And then they go and buy another and design it exactly the same. In fact, actually worse, bigger.
I'd love to know, John, whether knowing what they know now, they'd have done what they did. I.e., if they'd known what they know now, would they have paid for the Manxman? Would it be the same design? I'd love to know.
Yeah, well, they obviously learned nothing, did they?
Okay. All right, got to go, John. We're out of time now. Thanks for calling today.
Okay, cheers.
Good to hear from you. Somebody also said they should have the site for Half Tide Dock. They shouldn't be at Half Tide Dock. It should be further downriver, perhaps past the Everton ground, the new Everton ground. Well, I've heard that mentioned many times that it would be better further down, but unfortunately, hindsight isn't a strategy. We got what we got. By the way, the Department of Infrastructure is looking for a supplier for replacement seating in the departure lounge at the airport. DOI said the lounge is a key area with growing passenger numbers, and they need more seats there, by the way. Have you applied for it? That's it. Back with an open line tomorrow, Wednesday. The Chief Minister is on Thursday, so if you want to prepare some questions for the Chief Minister, email them to manninline@manxradio.com or call the answer phone on 682-631. So back with an open line tomorrow. It's going to be a bit breezy and wet today. Take care. Thanks to Chris Quirk on the phones.